Dapper Dan is proof that a great brand can go global straight from a small barbershop in Sheffield. The founders spent a decade perfecting their formulas. Now they're trusted by barbers in 50 plus countries. From matte pastes to pomades to beard oils, pro-level performance, born in the UK. But what most people don't see is the hidden leak that's quietly bleeding revenue. It starts with their website, clunky pop-ups, weak first impressions, forgettable email flows, and without the right retention system, even world-class products that are loved by everyone they're used by silently lose revenue and loyal customers to other brands. But here is the good news. I'm going to show you the exact strategy I would use for Dapper Dan, from email collection to email deliverability to the acquisition flows, the retention flows, and I'm even going to give you the exact templates so that you can simply plug and play and see results for your brand. Okay, so let's zoom out and let's start from the beginning. As you know, Dapper Dan is getting traffic to the site from their organic content or their paid ads. So they're getting traffic, but only 2 to 5% of that traffic is converting because only 2 to 5% are in this stage, the ready to buy stage. The other 95%, 97% of traffic don't have the conviction needed to make that purchase, but there is still a level of interest. Otherwise, they would have never clicked to get on site. So we have a level of interest, but it's just not enough for them to make a purchase. Now, if there is no retention system, these guys are just going to leave the website and then after a few weeks end up buying from a competitor or after a few months. So what we want to do is we want to capture the highest intent visitors, capture 15 to 20% of that traffic that was going to leave and convert them into email subscribers so that we can retarget these guys using the email channel and the SMS channel so that we don't have to spend more on ads or acquisition costs to convert them, okay, to get their attention again. And we are also going to be retaining these high value customers that just bought from us and increasing the LTV because Dapper Dan has just paid to acquire them, whether it's in the form of all of the effort they put into their content or their paid ads, etc. We're going to be increasing their LTV so that the LTV can go up and the CPA can go down, and that's how the business scales. So step one to start doing all of this is email capture. So we are going to be capturing up to 10 times more visitors by using this strategy, where we first have a look at this report inside of your Shopify reports, have a look at the sessions by landing page to have a look at the significant landing pages traffic is coming to. For content pages and blog pages, have a separate pop-up. For product pages and collection pages, have a separate pop-up, because the awareness level of the traffic coming to those pages is significantly different. People that come onto blog pages are not there to buy, they are there to find out about something. So we'll have to use a different strategy to collect their email. And people who are on collection pages and product pages, they are considering buying, okay? They don't want information about anything other than the product or what the brand is selling. So the incentive and the pop-up and the email collection strategy for this traffic is going to be different. So different pop-ups, and we are going to be testing incentives one by one. First of all, list as many incentives the brand is willing to give publicly for these pages. And also we would come up with incentives like free, something that is free and valuable that does not require visitors to make a purchase in order to get the value. It can be a free guide, it can even be a YouTube tutorial, anything that is useful. And we would test all of the incentives on those pages one by one. For example, product pages and collection pages. We would list all of the incentives, for example, free shipping, 15% off, a freebie above a certain order amount. And we would test all of them one by one to see the highest performing incentive. And then we would test different formats. What do I mean by format? You might have recognized that these are not just normal pop-ups. The first step of the pop-up does not have an email input field. That's because these are high converting formats where the pop-up appears and the first step asks them a question that is very easy to answer. We make it about them. We ask about them. And once they click on a button, we will show them the email input field. And this way we can capture more emails, because likelihood is the visitors that are on your website have visited hundreds of websites. They've seen hundreds of pop-ups, and their brain is automatically telling them to close the pop-up as soon as they see the email input field, right? They automatically head over to this close icon to close it. So to prevent this automatic behavior from happening, we want to have a different format, and we will be testing these different formats to see the best performing one. We will test different copy, different design, basically every variable possible. We will set up all of these A/B tests with a close icon and without, testing different trigger timing, testing a normal size pop-up versus full page, etc. to find the best performing email collection strategy for each page. That's important for each page. And also on the pop-up, we would ask them a high leverage question. We can only ask one question because if we have too many questions, it's going to be too high friction. So one question to figure out who are we talking to and how can we personalize the flow for the specific person. Like what's their goal, what's their pain point, why are they buying in the first place? So that the flows can speak differently to them and convert better. And then before we jump onto all of these exciting flows, there is one important step, and that is the warm-up. Even though Dapedan might have been sending emails for a long time, might have been sending campaigns for a long time, whenever I audit a Klaviyo account, 9 times out of 10, there is damage to the deliverability because of bad sending habits. So if you're watching this, there's a 90% chance you have bad deliverability. The way we fix this is by implementing our warm-up infrastructure. All we have to do is clone this over to their account, and this will automatically segment their email list and strategically send warm-up emails that will get them replies and engagement, which will increase their domain reputation automatically across 4 weeks. And they'll be able to see results like this in terms of open rates and deliverability. 200% increase in open rates before and after, 80% increase in open rates, 100% decrease in bounce rate, okay? Because there's no point having all of these beautiful emails, all of these high converting emails that we spend a ton of time on, if they will be going to the inbox. So that's an important step that needs to be handled first. And then we have the flows. First, we have the acquisition flows, pre-purchase flows. First of all, we had a welcome flow. You've heard this everywhere, but we have upgraded this and taken it to a whole new level. So the welcome flow is here to catch and convert the lowest hanging fruit. And what is the lowest hanging fruit? It's the traffic that was closest to buying. People who are in this stage, the product aware stage. They know they have a problem, they know there is a solution, but they are considering between Dapedan products and another brand's products. They are weighing their options. So the welcome flow needs to basically answer the question, why Dapedan, and answer objections and questions that your bottom of funnel will have. For example, the price. Okay, that's a big one for e-commerce. Do not just have emails that look nice and that sound nice, but they're just full of fluff. Okay, you want to pinpoint a certain objection or pain point or desired outcome and use design and copy to handle it or speak about it or zoom onto that pain point. And you want these emails to be micro topics. Do not send an email with 5 different topics trying to do 5 different things in one email. Have one email for one micro topic, for one specific thing you want to focus on, okay? And you want to follow up with a discount that was offered on the pop-up using unique angles, because people have been buying from brands for more than a decade now, okay? You are not the first brand that is sending them emails, so you need to stand out the same way you would test out different ad creatives, etc., to catch their attention. Same way here, you need to have different angles that are pattern interrupts. About 10 emails inside of the welcome flow, but even after doing all of this, 90% of the people that enter the welcome flow are not going to convert, simply because of the nature of this world. Because most of these people clicked on site, so before they subscribed, they clicked on site because they had a level of interest, but it's just not high enough for them to make a purchase. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will be building conviction from scratch, well, almost from scratch. So we'll be building trust, okay, and building desire, one touch point at a time. Because if someone has enough trust in the brand and enough desire for the products, and if we keep adding touch points after touch points using different angles and different strategies, at some point in time, the person is going to reach a conviction threshold after which they are going to buy. Now, this point in time can be months away, or it can be a few weeks away, depending on the person. So what we have done is we have extracted over 30 winning angles to build trust via email and over 20 angles to build desire via emails, and we have lined them up inside of a long flow called the endless nurture flow that will last 3 to 4 months, and that will automatically send 1 to 2 emails every week to build conviction. By the way, you could have the best email strategy, but if you're landing in spam, it's just not going to work. We recently helped a client go from 14% to 46% open rate, fixing 3 deliverability mistakes they were making. Another brand jumped from 37%, which is an average open rate, all the way to 67%. And another client's bounce rate this time dropped from 36% all the way down to 0%. There's a free guide in the description that shows you the exact fixes. It will take you 20 minutes to implement, but it could change your email marketing forever on autopilot. And these flows are personalized to non-buyers. These are not generic campaigns that everyone is sending. The copy acknowledges that they have not tried the products yet. They have been on the email list for a long time, but they haven't tried the products. And the reason we want to personalize this flow for non-buyers is because 70% of your email list, if you're capturing emails, 70% of your email list will consist of non-buyers. They've subscribed, they've gone through the welcome flow, but they still haven't purchased. So instead of them just sitting in your email list and receiving generic campaigns, why would you not have a long flow that specifically speaks to non-buyers? Okay, because you have to understand, the more personalized the email, the more personal they feel, right? Because it's specifically for them, and the more likelihood it is for the email to convert. And these are not just personalized, but we are using an angle, handling an objection, which is the price, personalized to non-buyers, acknowledging that they haven't bought, and this is probably a reason why they haven't bought. Okay, so this flow is evergreen content, which means if Dapedan is having a sale, they can easily turn off the welcome flow, they can toggle it off, but they can keep the endless nurture flow running because this flow does not contain any discounts. And that's also one of the reasons why we have the downsell flow. The downsell flow is a very unique flow. It has 4 offers from different angles. So 4 different offers, for example, 15% off, free shipping, or a freebie. And these offers are lined up. Each offer has an announcement email, a launch email, a follow-up email, and a countdown email. And each offer goes out every 3 to 4 weeks because the endless nurture flow is going to be building conviction, but we still need a little push when they have enough conviction. That's where the downsell flow will be sending offers on autopilot, which means this brand will no longer have to do any random flash sale campaigns that will disappear after one send, because this will be automated. It will go out to everyone that is currently present on their email list and that is a non-buyer, okay? And anyone in the future that subscribes will receive this at some point in time. And then we have the abandonment flows. I'm not going to talk too much about these because everyone talks about these. Basically, these are going to be personalized flows, acknowledging the action they took on site and basically getting them from the action to making a purchase using different angles, giving a discount if you'd like, and yeah, just showing some of the behind the scenes, always answering the question, why your brand? Okay, having plain text emails that ask, do you have a question? How's it going? Because if you send a designed email, like almost every brand is sending templatized designed emails from the marketing team, and customers are not stupid. They know this came from a team that designed this email. So even if they have a question, they're not very likely to reply to a designed email to ask the question. That's why you need a combination of designed emails and plain text emails, because not everyone will respond to the same type of email. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into these, but yeah, these flows, the ones on top that I just showed you, will decrease the CPA, get more conversions without spending more on acquisition, and then increasing the LTV. How do we increase the LTV? First of all, the first window in which we can increase the LTV is when they just made the purchase. They are in a buying mood, they're excited, they just spent money, and that's one of the easiest times to get them to spend more money. So 5 minutes after they've bought, we have this immediate upsell flow that goes out. And this is basically, we'll have a look at this report inside of Shopify to understand what are the frequently bought together items. And based on that, we would have emails telling them, hey, there's space in your package for more. You can add another product to your cart and you can get a discount on it. But this is only valid for the next 30 minutes or 1 hour. And yeah, we're going to give them personalized recommendations based on what they are most likely to purchase, based on what they just purchased. And we'll have different emails for different products. That's the first touch point where we can increase LTV. Next, before we can get them to buy a second time, we need to lay ground for loyalty, and we are going to do that by using these 3 flows: the thank you flow, review request, and endless loyalty flow. So the thank you flow, it's a heartfelt thank you from the founder. Do not have a templatized thank you email going out. It's going to make it's going to make your brand look like a cardboard brand that doesn't have anyone behind the brand. Okay, personal thank you, heartfelt, with a single person sign off. It's not going to bring revenue, but it's going to lay ground for loyalty. Next, you have a review request. Even though the name sounds very transactional, this flow is going to be a personal check-in after they've tried the products. Okay, you're going to be genuinely checking in using an automation, of course. Genuinely checking in, asking, how's it going? It was your first order with us. I want to make sure you're satisfied, etc. And we can also take this email and use it to strategically direct good reviews to your external review platforms and the neutral reviews and the bad reviews to an internal Google form so that you can capture that feedback. What this is going to do is it's going to increase your reputation in the front end. So when someone new comes across your ad and they Google your name, they're going to look at what people are saying, what's your rating, how many reviews you've got. They are not going to be going to your product page and have a look at the reviews there. They don't do that. They mainly have a look at the Google search results. So if you have a bunch of Google reviews or Trustpilot reviews, it's going to be easier for them to get convinced. So that's also going to be helping your brand in the front end. And when it comes to the neutral feedback and the bad feedback, you can use this internally to improve your customer service, improve your processes, improve your product. And then after this flow, we have the endless loyalty flow. This flow is going to lay ground for loyalty. In this flow, we are going to give them valuable content they actually will find valuable, okay? For example, this is for a powerlifting brand that sells powerlifting accessories. Instead of just talking about the product or how to use the products, we are giving them a value that they can use beyond the product level. So for example, this brand's audience, SBD Apparel, this brand's audience are powerlifters. So we are giving them recovery hacks, even though the brand doesn't sell any recovery products. So recovery hacks they can use, stuff that is actually valuable and that's easy to read. Reinforce the decision in your brand that they've chosen the right brand. Show basically behind the scenes your attention to detail so that they don't get buyer's regret. You don't want them to think, oh, I wish I bought from this other brand. Instead, you want to reinforce the decision, and by doing so, this will somehow give them a better satisfaction with their product. There was an experiment done, I can't remember clearly. Don't quote me on this, but there were two pizzas, the same exact pizzas. One group was given information. Whilst they were eating the pizza, they were being told, hey, this pizza was made with this ingredient, it was baked by using this method, etc., etc. And they were consuming that content whilst eating the pizza. This group had a higher satisfaction with the pizza, of the product basically, compared to the other group that just ate the pizza without any content like this, okay? So for some reason, it increases customer satisfaction. So you want to have this type of content inside of your post-purchase flows, okay? And then we have win-back flows, okay? But not the generic win-back flows that everyone teaches about, where it's just an offer and say, hey, come back, replenish, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we are doing here. Here, we are going to have a dedicated flow for first-time customers, because the second biggest chunk in your email list after the non-buyers segment is the segment with profiles with exactly one purchase. They have made one purchase, now they are just sitting in your email list receiving generic campaigns. You don't want that to happen. You want to have a long flow dedicated to first-time customers, acknowledging their order, acknowledging the fact that they ordered for the first time, okay, and telling them stuff like, hey, usually people will reorder around this time. I noticed you haven't reordered. Is everything okay? And this flow will basically be similar to the downsell flow, where we have 4 different offers lined up that will go out across almost a year, using different angles to win them over, because you've already paid to acquire these first-time customers. Why would you not increase LTV or double LTV by just having a solid retention system for these guys, specifically for these guys? And then next we have repeat purchases. This flow will be triggering on people. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, for the trigger of this flow, the first to second purchase flow, we don't just use any trigger time that we think is good. We have like hard data. So we download this app, it's free for 14 days. We only need to get this graph and see when is a customer considered a lost customer. The definition that I have set is when 80% of second-time customers, that's the time when I consider someone lost. So for this brand, okay, this is not for Dapidan, that's for another brand. For this brand, 80% is 30 days. After 30 days, 80% of the second-time customers reordered. That's not for a skincare brand or a beauty brand, that's for an apparel brand. Do not take this number, download this app and do it yourself, because it can differ significantly. For some brands, it can be 90 days. For some brands, it can even be half a year. So have a look at that number for yourself. And then I was saying we have repeat purchase flows that have follow-up angles and offer angles lined up for months to come, okay? Because these are customers who are interested in your brand. And why would you not just have automated emails that are set to go out for the next year, right? Instead of just having one win-back flow that has 2 emails with one offer. And again, we'll be looking at hard data to find the optimal trigger time for this flow, so that we are not sending discounts to people who would have purchased regardless of the email. So these flows are going to increase the LTV, and these top flows I showed you at the beginning of the video will be decreasing CPA. And yeah, that's the strategy I would use. If you would like to implement this, go ahead. On our homepage, there is a lead magnet where I give you some of these angles so that you can implement this yourself and test it yourself and see your results, make more money, and yeah,